We're back. We're on again for another episode of Does Contain Nuts, the podcast that grabs life by the balls. And we have got another guest again. Last week was our first ever guest. Tonight we're following up. Today, whatever time of day it is you're listening. We're following up with an equally brilliant guest who I am very much looking forward to speaking to. I know you are, Lee, as well. I'm looking forward to speaking to this guy. I've known him a few years. Lee has as well. But I find him quite intriguing, don't you, Lee?
Well, here's the thing, right? This is what I think. We've known each other for a few years, but we haven't known each other for a few years. We've known each other for a few years, and we've been doing the same stuff. We're on the same kind of path journey, personal development and all of that stuff. But at the same time, there's so much that I do not know that I want to know. And that's what's going to go down today.
Do you know the thing with me as well? I know we've been in the same room probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 times over the last couple of years, right? And each time I've said to this guy, we need to make time for a little chat, right? And it's never really happened. And I don't know, I think it may be in my head. It's because you're a little bit intimidating sometimes. I look at him, he's a guy. Anyway, his name is Alex Myers. He's a bit of a powerhouse, I think, and we're going to have a great chat. So welcome, Alex, to our podcast.
To add, he is unstoppable bastard, reigning champion.
Correct.
Oh, yes, yeah.
He is. Unstoppable bastard, reigning champion, man of the year, I believe, when it last year.
Yeah, feels like a long time ago now, but yeah, December. Yeah.
Nice.
That's some achievement in the group that we were in. That is some freaking, there's some mega people inside that group. That's some great achievement now.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no,
right?
I was honoured. I'm not going to lie, I was over the moon at that one. Yeah.
That was a good event. All 3 of us were there, weren't we? That was a good...
Yeah. Probably let us have a few beers, which was nice. So
yeah,
it was
good fun. So, mate, give us a quick snapshot of kind of who you are and what you do now, so everyone listening can get a bit of an idea of what you're up to.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I'm kind of like still discovering what I'm doing now. I know that might be a weird thing to say, but I'm a personal trainer by trade. That's what I do. I do group training, mainly for men. But I've always kind of toyed with this coaching aspect, and I do some of that as well. That's all I've known. It's all I've done. Prior to that, I was stacking shelves at Tesco and selling insurance for about a week before I was kind of ready to jump out the fucking window and kill myself. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I do. And that's pretty much what I strive to get better at every single day.
Nice.
There's a fun fact. I used to work at Tesco as well.
Did you? Do you know what? I did it for 5 years, man. It was one of the best things I did. It taught me a lot. I learned a lot at Tesco. And surprisingly, looking back, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because you went to work and you had a job to do every day. And when you did it, like, you had that sense of achievement. Like, and you were part of a team. As a personal trainer, so much of it is spent on my own, doing my own thing, running my own business, and like just having that team aspect. And I met a lot of good people at Tesco, like genuinely good people. Really good.
I was saying this to someone the other day. I can't remember now. It's as a like a coach or a personal trainer, it's a lonely job, isn't it? Like, even though you spend a lot of time with people. So like when I was working on the gym floor, then working in my group training, I'd be with a lot of people. I'd always be with people. But when you're like their coach or something, it's, your friends 1000% and stuff like that. But it's pretty, like, you feel lonely quite often. Do you feel lonely, or is it just me? Is this just me? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think any business where you're in charge you're going to have that feeling. But something that, like, and I can say this without feeling any guilt at all, like something that I really enjoyed during this COVID kind of lockdown is that pressure of not having to help all of my clients all of the time. Like, I love them all, but that's all I've done for 14 years, I think now. And it's just been nice to step back and go, right, Alex, now you can just kind of concentrate on your own game for a bit. Yeah. And that's another thing that I'm enjoying. I'm still doing the online work and I'm really enjoying that. But when that call's finished, it's like I can switch off, and I've never had that. And it's refreshing. It's nice. It's good.
And
I
also,
feel
that's the point where I would feel lonely when that call's off, and then it's like, I'm by myself again.
I haven't had that yet. I haven't had that lonely feeling. It's weird. I'm more connected to some of my friends now and my family. We're Zooming every couple of days, and I'm like, this feels like we're getting closer, not further apart.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
I feel exactly the same. And also, you're not 100% lonely because you've got a badass dog that lives with you, haven't you?
Well, I've got a badass dog.
I love your dog, mate. I'll tell you what, that's a hell of a dog.
He's a legend. I can't say he's great company. I mean, he's flat out snoring now in the corner. Like, he's awake for about 10 minutes of each day, but it's nice having him about. We get in some trouble, so it's good.
Just for the viewers, what's his name and what kind of dog is it?
His name's Benson, and he's like this 12. When we come towards the end, I'll take the camera over. He's 12 stone French Mastiff, or a Doe de Bordeaux is what you call it. So yeah, he's a bit of a unit. Slobbers, stinks. But he's a good lad. He's a good lad.
They've got that funny, distinctive smell, haven't they?
I can't smell it as much now because obviously, so when you walk into your own house and you don't smell, they smell like shit. But like sometimes I'll gasp it, and people do comment that he absolutely reeks. I don't bath him. I'm like, he's a lad.
How would you bath that dog? How on earth would anyone be able to bath a dog like that?
Got the hose out, and he's a wimp. Like he's a wimp, so he just legs it off, like, and he'll shake like shit. If you get a sponge out and start wiping, he'll be shaking, terrified. So I just let him be a dog, man. Give him a house. I've given up on trying to make sure it's clean all the time.
Use dry shampoo.
So,
Dry shampoo.
Shampoo.
No, dry shampoo.
Oh, dry shampoo.
You just squirt it on, rub it in, and his job's.
Yeah. I haven't tried that, to be fair. Yeah, he'd probably be all right with that.
But I think that them dogs, just in general, even if you bath them, like, you're not meant to bath them often, are you?
Anyway,
They're not. My dog, he's a little Frenchie, and he's got like this smell, and it stinks. But like you get this connection with the smell. And I'm just like, oh
my God!
His face, and I'm like,
yeah.
His wrinkles, like.
I'm not putting him in my bath. No way.
No.
There'd just be something wrong about seeing Benson sat in my bath like with bubbles.
Bath hat on.
Yeah. Just saying that.
No, do you know what would look mint though? If you put a shower cap on him and he's just in the bath and you're like a picture, you're scrubbing your back, he's there with his shower cap on.
Yeah, it would be a scene, right?
So, Alex, mate, what are you right now? So you're PTing, you've got a group program, you've got your business called Man's Plan, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because I don't really even know much about that.
Yeah, so about 2.5 years ago, I shut down my PT business where I had, trainers working in the building for me and with me. And it was a bit of a monster, actually. We were doing like 150 PT sessions a week, and it was close to £500,000 kind of turnover each year. It was a monster. But life was pretty miserable right then. Like, I didn't like it. I didn't know how to manage very well. And eventually I come to the end of my tether and was like, I'm shutting this fucker down before it destroys me. But I knew I still had that passion for PT, fitness, weights, and I knew that I enjoyed working with the lads and having some banter. So from the destruction of that business, I kind of gathered the clients that I wanted to and that wanted to work with me and set up something a little bit less stressful and a bit more pleasurable. And I named it the Man's Plan, and I made it all group emphasis. So it was never one-to-one, because one-to-one PT was killing me. It was like taking my soul. I just didn't like it. So I started to do just these smaller groups, 4 sessions a day instead of my usual 9-10 sessions a day, and put the emphasis on just having some fun and some banter. And I started to introduce what I really wanted to get across, which was this whole mental, I don't like the word mental health because everyone says it, but that kind of introducing that to your game. And it was an opportunity for me to do that with this new business. So I went up and set the Man's Plan. So yeah, it's for guys who want to get in shape, get more energy, feel better about themselves. The typical kind of thing that each PT sets up and tries to install in their clients.
Yeah.
Do you know what I loved? I watched one of your videos and I actually pinched this from you. And it was everybody plans. So when you're setting goals and everything, you always plan for the best thing. And what you said was plan for your worst day or your worst week. And I was like, I've never thought of that. Yeah, and that is genius.
Well, I'm writing a lot of this. I'm writing a book at the minute, and it's probably one of the best things I've ever done, for self-discovery, for my own therapy, for my own sanity, and just to kind of get a better kind of knowing of where I'm at the minute. This book is brilliant for me. I'm learning a lot about goal setting. Even though I've been doing it for years, I'm still learning how to goal set and how to achieve goals and how to take all the lessons and so on. And I always see people make the same mistakes in health and fitness, always. And I'm trying to be the person that kind of gets in that gap and says to these guys, look, this isn't the way to go about it. Because every guy thinks he's got brilliant willpower. Every guy thinks he's motivated because at the point he is. Every guy thinks he can get into shape. And pretty much every guy keeps making the same mistakes. So I try and attack this now from a different route, because like we all know getting in shape's easy. And we all know the main mistakes that people make. It's getting that point across and throwing enough evidence out there to these guys, especially, who don't want to do the work on themselves, really. They just want the fucking results. Yeah. And it's getting across to those guys and teaching them how to change their approach to doing things. That's what I enjoy. I like kind of getting inside someone's brain a bit and making them think a bit differently, and attacking it from a different approach.
Yeah, you've definitely got to do that. You've got to open people up to be receptive of what you're telling them. Because I'd done that for a lot of years. I was just like, oh, do this, do that, do this, do this, job's good. And it's that doesn't work. It's in one ear, out the other, in one ear, out the other. And it
in a weird way, it does work. Like the advice that we could all give someone to get in great shape would work. It's just isn't it? It would work if we applied it. But we all know that it's never that straightforward. So the reason I've never kind of created a fitness book or a health and fitness book, because I probably could, is because I don't think people would want to read it. I think, like most self-help books, if you really said how fucking hard it was and how much challenge was involved and what you really had to do, no one would buy it.
Yeah.
No one would buy it. That's why these titles of self-help books are named like 3 Simple Steps to, or Turn Your Life Around, or I Can Make You Thin. Because that's what people want. It's not what they need, but it's what they want. And people will always search for what they want.
Yeah, and we all know, all 3 of us know, that you ain't never going to change by constantly being told what you want to hear, right? Or reading what you want to read. That does fuck all, right?
No, but how hard is it now to be a truthful coach and mentor?
Very hard.
It's very hard, because you'd probably piss off most of your clients. The others you'd upset, and you'd probably be left with 1 or 2 clients. Like that's the truth. If I really went hard on my clients, like brutally honest, I don't think I'd have any.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And I probably wouldn't have some of the mentors that I've got if they went straight in hard at me. So it's almost like a bit of an entry level. You kind of have to feed out a little bit of what they need first, and then tell them a bit of what they want. And then gradually over time, you kind of feed them a bit more, give them a bit more info. And it's knowing how to take each individual and give them the right amount. Because some dudes, like, you guys could probably handle the straight fucking truth. Look, dude, you're doing this. This is fucking you up. If you can attack this, you'll get closer to what you want. Like, that might suit you, but for a lot of people, but men say they want that. Have you ever worked with a guy who says, no, Alex, don't tell me the truth. I don't want to be told the truth. Like, if you give it him, it's not usually that well received.
No.
That's what you're on about, phases there. That's exactly what Boris Johnson's doing now, this lockdown thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, he should have locked the whole country down. This should have happened. This should have happened. I'm like, listen, you're freaking out now just because you got to stay in the house for 3 weeks. Imagine he said, we're going to stay in for a year. I was like, you got to do it in incremental stages, and you've got to give a little bit back. Oh, but you can do this and you can do that. And that's what he's kind of doing, isn't he?
Yeah, he has to, again, there's no right way of him playing it, right? He's always going to do wrong in people's eyes.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
That's what you want about that, like, easy things, 3 easy ways to do this. Like, people searching for that. It's funny, right? Because I was looking at my data I've got a nutrition app that I work with all my clients. It's got thousands of recipes on. And the most searched and the most used recipes are the ones that have quick, easy curry or easy 10 minutes to make those little titles on. I was like, do you know what it is? I could get like the hardest recipe on there, will probably takes about half an hour or something. And I could probably just put in the easiest whatever, and everyone would just start using it.
Yeah, I mean, we all want easy. I get it. Like, I want easy as well. Like, I do. Like, and there are easier ways to certain things. Like, we know there's easier paths to losing body fat than harder paths. But yeah, when it's down to self-development, like, you often have to experience it more than read about it, and that's where the challenge is, isn't it? Reading about it sounds great. I'm writing about this exact topic now. I've got like 63 self-help books here. I've got, I think, the same amount in the shed at the top of my garage. I've sold probably hundreds of self-help books, and I'm not sure whether any have really changed my life. I can't pinpoint. They've probably influenced me. I'm sure they have, I don't think any book has ever changed my life. What changed my life was hitting like the ultimate rock bottom and then being forced into doing something that I'd never done before. That's what changed my life.
Yeah. Tell us about that, mate. Let's go into that, and we'll talk about your book in a bit as well. But tell us, I'm quite interested to know about that rock bottom place. Give us a bit of a insight or a bit of a history, and tell us what went on there.
I mean, it's hard to talk about, not because I don't like talking about it or because I'm scared to talk about it. It's more because I don't remember much of it, because it felt like a different man. Like, you know, when people say they've changed, like, I really have. Like, I don't recognise that guy, and if I think about him, I get angry because I don't like him. He was a coward. Like, he could have done so many different things better. He could have pulled himself out that mess, but he didn't. And when I was around, it was about 28 years of age, I think, I was at that point where I was like, shut my business down for 3 weeks. And you guys know I love my business, and it would take a lot for me to step back from it. But I just couldn't face it anymore. I was drinking heavily. I had terrible relationship problems. I'd really fucked up in that. My business was under threat. I was heavily involved with the police at the time because of some ugly incident that I brought into my life. And I was under quite a lot of pressure from somebody who was doing not very nice things to me and to my partner at the time. So there was just a lot of separate things going on that just caused me to collapse and literally admit defeat as a man. And instead of like facing it, I hid, and I started drinking, and I gained 3 stone, and I became terribly paranoid, terribly depressed, terribly anxious. And then for 5 years, probably, I never recovered from it. And I'm still actively doing things day to day that are pulling me from being that person now. So it was a lot of things. My own behavior was one of them. Like, I was cheating, I was lying, I was trying to get myself out of this mess, not knowing that I was digging myself further down. Yeah, and eventually I just fucking gave into it all and couldn't handle any more heat, couldn't handle any more pressure, and just fucking crumbled and hit one of the lowest points. And I was praying to God with a pair of rosary beads in my hand one day to give me the strength to fucking do something and to get up and just go again and just try and get out of the mess, not accept it. And that's kind of where my lowest point was. It weren't very nice, but it did force me into some pretty dramatic action. Yeah.
I think it's funny, you know, because the more people that I speak to, where I believe I hit this very same position as where you were at. I was screwed, mate. There's blanks of time that I just can't even recall and stuff like that. But I done the same. I was praying. I had a chain on with a cross that my dad had for 50. It was 50 years old. I ended up fighting and lost my cross. I was devastated. So I got it tattooed on my arm under here. And every time I felt bad, I got another Jesus tattoo. I had Jesus sitting on a rock that David Beckham had. I had rosary beads, praying hands. And I thought every time I got one of these tattoos, it was going... I've
got prayer hands here and an angel face, all from weirdly stemming from that point of depression. I almost like took that depression and put it on my body. Like, I don't know why, but I did.
And it acts like a reminder. You're like, oh crap. That's why I've covered all mine up. I've put one big Jesus on my leg here now. It's literally the full size of my hamstring. Just a picture of Jesus' face, like, do you know the picture where he's like crying blood? Like, I've got that.
Yeah.
But it's that same thing. I think everybody, when you do hit that place, it goes so dark. You don't believe anybody on earth can help you. You start praying to a higher being. And I remember where I said I went in the loft and I had a vision that I had to get this New Testament that I had from school, like 10 years prior or something. I climbed up into my loft, found it, dug it out, and I was lying in bed shaking like a leaf reading it.
Yeah, it was strangely comforting though to have faith. I mean, I was brought up Catholic, so I don't know whether that had something to do with it. But yeah, like you just said, Lee, it's like no human can help me. So if no human can help me, maybe a higher power can. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to speak to the man who I haven't spoken to for years. I'm going to ask God to give me the strength to get through this time. That's what I did. And since I haven't spoke to him, like, it's bizarre. Like, since I've started to feel a bit better, I haven't needed him. And that sounds terrible. I feel guilty for it. But I only speak to God when I'm in desperate need.
Yeah.
Well, he clearly helped because something happened. So what happened then? So he was down there, spoke to this guy up there or whatever, and then what happened?
Well, it's weird because I started to naturally just come out of this like, I didn't come out of depression, but I started to return back to normality of life. Like I had to go to work and stuff. And then I met Paul Mort, who I joined his program because he was on social media saying that, you know, he felt like shit and he started to turn his life around. So I joined him, and I was under the wrong assumption that when I met him and I started trying again, things would become easier. And it was around that point for the next 2, 3, 4 years where the harder I tried to get better, the worse I felt. So not only did I have this point of a breakdown, I had then these years after where I felt terrible for what I'd done. I felt terrible that I'd collapsed and crumbled. I had to pick up the pieces of all the shit that had broken. And then I was spending all my money on trying to get fixed, and I wasn't feeling like I was becoming fixed. So that was even worse than the depression, this constant trying to kind of achieve goals, this constant trying to get better, this striving for more. And I just assumed that if I achieved my goals, I'd feel better again. I'd feel like I was doing something, or I was achieving something in life, or it'd make me better. And even when I did achieve them, like on the rare occasion I did, I didn't feel anything. I might have felt a small high for about 5 minutes, but then I'd sit back on my couch and kind of question what life's all about and why I'm on this planet, and like, is this it? So like, that was a horrible 5 years. It was almost a bit like post-traumatic stress disorder, where you've had this event and you just can't move on from it. And you read that looking back is no good, and you read that you need to be in the present moment to be happy. And I know all this shit, but it was like, fuck, I can't get myself out of this place that I'm in. And then that kind of led me to just doing more of the self-development and writing this book. I started writing because I was like, I've got to get this shit out of my head. I don't want to be one of these guys who jumps off a fucking bridge. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm going to brain dump all this shit. And that's where the start of the book came in. And that's probably, I believe, was my best therapy, to get all this carnage out of my head that I was too scared to speak to a therapist about. Because I was seeing therapists, seeing them for years. And I'd dump my brain thoughts, and I'd come out and I'd feel better for about 5 minutes. And then 6 months later, I'm talking to a different therapist about the same fucking situation. I just thought this ain't working. So yeah, that was a horrible 5 years of my life. It consumed a lot of time for me. And even today, I look back and think 5 years of your life, Alex, from 28 to 33, could have been your best years. They've been my worst. So, there's some hard lessons in there. But I continue to work with Paul and kind of like learn from trial and error and experience about what started to suit me and what didn't.
So go back to not opening up and not speaking to someone. I wrote this question down because I'm very curious as to what people hold back. What memory or event has happened for you that you've hated, or it's been a really traumatic time that you've held back and you've never told anyone about? Is there something?
I think for me, it's based around my behavior. So like my relationships are the one thing that I've just got an excellent reputation of fucking up. Like if there could be awards for the person who's fucked up the most relationships with the nicest people, I'd be in contention for it. Like that is and again, it's something I'm trying to work out. That is my thing. So for me to open up and talk about how I behave in relationships is very difficult, because people know me as a nice guy, as a positive guy, helpful guy. If they kind of knew what I was really like, and again, these are the things that float around in your head. If they knew what I was fucking really like, that is the kind of hardest thing for me to talk about. And I can breach it with therapists and counselors and stuff. But again, you kind of flirt with it. You never really say what's going on in your mind. So you think, are they going to call the fucking police? Are they going to have me in a fucking nut house? All these things come across my head. I'm like, is this normal? Does any other guy on the planet think and behave like this when he's jealous or angry? Do other men feel like this? And I never really knew the answer to that. And I still don't know how other men think and feel. But I'm not scared to talk about it anymore, because it's quite refreshing to hold your hands up and go, I'm not this perfect guy that I pretend to be on social media. I know I'm a coach, but I still fuck up hundreds of times. Do you know what I mean? And that was one of the best things I did for my own healing, was just to hold my hands up and go, I fucked up. Treated my missus like shit. I was a bully. I was horrible. I'm still am those things. I just am less of them now than I used to be. I spend more time trying to be nice than I spend time being a cunt. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that. So that is the one thing, Lee, that I still find hard to talk about and still hold back, because there's things I can't say. There's people to protect. There's things I don't want to talk about still. So, but that's my big area, and where I've always sought help from therapists and counsellors for.
And also that thing, holding your hands up, it is a massive relief, isn't it? Like my issues back in the day, not really a patch on yours or Lee's, but it was the first time when I kind of admitted and was like, do you know what? I've got a problem here. Yeah. I've got a bit of an issue. And then you'll get older, you start talking about it. You don't just help yourself, but you help all these other lads and girls maybe who are listening to it. Do you know what I mean? They're like, actually, he's like that. He comes across as this guy who's powerhouse, he's confident, he's outgoing, whatever else. But actually, it's quite nice to see that he's not that person all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I
lighthouse
with my mentors was I liked that roughness in them. I liked the fact that Paul was bipolar and suicidal. I liked that my first mentor and still mentor, Jeff Thompson, was a doorman and had beat up 350 people and was horrible to his wife. I liked that. I like my friend Matty Evans because he did some nasty, horrible things, and they've all become better people. Like, I relate to those guys more than I would to some geezer who's got a degree from university and a suit charging 200 quid an hour for psychotherapy. Like, I just don't relate to that. So I like these ugly men that have done horrible, nasty things, who have turned themselves around or improved themselves, because I can relate to it. I get more off them than I do the people that haven't been through the whole shit.
That's what it is. It goes back to what you said earlier on. It's you've got to experience it. And there's so many times when I hear people who I speak to, and they might be telling us their story or something that's happened, and I'm working with them and I'm coaching them, and they'll be telling us that, oh, my doctor said this, my doctor said that, and I'm just like, they fucking haven't been there, man. They haven't been. They're just reading from a script, telling you the same old bullshit that they're telling every single person that comes in through that door. They haven't even experienced things like. They haven't even experienced where you've been. So how the fuck can they help?
Yeah, I had a battle with that with the doctor, but then I asked myself, what would I do as a doctor? And I don't know, because I can't solve someone's problems. I can't solve someone's problems in a 10-minute slot. I know that. So I'm like, well, as a doctor, what would I do? I got offered quite a long waiting list for counselling or tablets. I took neither, but I was like, I felt really disappointed after. I was angry, and I thought, what was I looking for though? What would have made me happy from that doctor? And I still don't know the answer. Yeah, I just was desperate, but I don't know how they could have helped me. What they can do, I'm not sure they can. And I went through this phase of fuck the doctors, they're a fucking waste of time. And it took me a lot of courage to walk in there. But then I asked myself, what was I expecting? What did I want? What would have made me happy? And I don't think there was an answer. I don't think they could have.
Do you think sometimes, just me hearing that back and thinking, I was picturing me walking in through that doctor's, do you think it's sometimes you actually want, do you know, labels are, they're thrown around ridiculous. I don't agree with them at all now, but me going back to where I was and what I was feeling, you don't know what the fuck's happening, do you? You're so confused. You're just, is this happening? Is it just me this is happening to? Like you're saying, you don't know who else is experiencing this. Yeah. I think when I went to the doctors, I always said in my head, because of my brother's drug addictions, that I was never going to take any Valium or anything from the doctors and things. And I didn't even want tablets, really. I did end up having tablets and counselling, but when I went in there, now I'm just looking back, I think I went in there just for them to say, oh, it's okay, it's this. Do you know what I mean? Just so that when I'm at home, crying my eyes out, fucking shaking in the dark, I can just say, it's okay, Lee, it's this, rather than having that fear of, what is it? Now I could say, oh, I'm depressed. Now I could say, oh, I'm anxious. I think going to the doctors sometimes, if I'm looking back, I think that's the reason that I actually went there for, was because I wanted to have a name. I wanted to have something attached to what it was that I was feeling, so that I could feel a tiny little bit better. Yeah. But really, in hindsight, him or the doctors who are saying this to me now, I probably would have been better without that and just focusing on getting better, because having that label attached to me, I was now telling myself that I was depressed. I was now telling myself that it was okay to feel depressed. And I was kind of justifying that it's fine for me to shake like a leaf, cry my eyes out every night, not get any sleep, just because I can say now that I'm depressed. it kind of gives us a justification in some
Yeah.
senses,
Yeah,
which,
no, that makes sense. I mean, I walked out knowing that I knew they'd offer me either tablets or therapy. So the moment they did, and I was like, fuck you, and left, I was kind of like, it was just an avenue to explore. And I knew then it was kind of confirmation, you can't help me. And I needed that. I come out the doctor, I was like, Alex, this is on you. Like, you're alone. This is on you. But again, on this self-reflection, I've been like, was I just stubborn? Would have taken the tablets and going into therapy like they recommended, would it have made my life easier? Am I just getting in my own way? Have I just got this story and belief that tablets are terrible and you shouldn't take them and it's on me and it's my mess? Like, maybe there's a small chance that I was generally not very well and these would have helped me. And again, all this writing has just opened it up because I'd never thought about it. I'd never questioned whether I was being stubborn. I just thought it was right. And I might have been, like, avoiding medication might be the best thing I've ever done. But it might also be something that made my suffering way, way worse than it needed to be. And I don't know the answer, and I'll never know the answer. But the questions are coming up now, and they're making me explore, and they're making me remove a lot of wrongs and rights, which is really nice. Because when you're either wrong or right, you get in this battle, and it's good to think you're right, and it's good to think that you haven't been wrong. Like, no man wants to be wrong.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like, whoa, I don't know. I'm just here. I'm on this call with you guys. Everything I've done has led me to this point.
yeah.
Wrong or right, I don't fucking know. Tablets could have just changed my life, and I could be fucking doing some amazing things now if my brain chemicals have been changed by these tablets. I might be super fucking happy instead of just happy. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
You know what's good though, mate? You've got some serious awareness right now to be seeing all these insights. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people go through life and they have shit going on, don't they? But they don't take the lessons and extract the information. And you've got to have the awareness in order to do that. And some of that stuff you just said there is fucking cool. And it's obviously what's led you to write the book, right? Or giving you some stuff to put in there.
Yeah. Awareness is great. Awareness makes things harder as well, because when you're aware of something,
definitely,
and you can't fix it, then you really fucking hate yourself.
Fucking annoying, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So awareness is needed. It's the first step. Like, I'm aware in relationships I could be a complete dick. Yeah, I'm still a complete dick. So I'm like, there's awareness is good, and I've always had it even since a young age. And all the therapists have said, Alex, like, we usually have to make people aware of their behavior. You know it. And I was like, yeah, I fucking know it. So fucking help me out, please. Like, and we never got to the root of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Like, I like to think I'm aware of most things. Because I study it. Like, I watch myself, I watch everyone else, I read, and I love self-development, and I love behavior, and I love this whole game. It's frustrating as fuck, and it's so hard.
Mate, it's better to be an aware dick than just a dick. I reckon. I might get that on a t-shirt. That's quite good, isn't it?
Ignorance is bliss sometimes, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can hold your hands up and go, well, I didn't know. But, like, when you do know, it's like, well, isn't that worse? I don't know, man. But, yeah, no, I like to think I'm aware.
I think that's something everybody in this personal development game suffers from. When your awareness gets up. I was saying to Phil this morning, I'd done a meditation last night. Absolutely smashed it. My brainwaves were wicked. Woke up this morning.
Hold on. Why was the one last night so good? Tell everyone.
Because I was tipsy.
Hey. Meditation's always better when you're drunk. I can always chill out after like 4 or 5 beers.
I only had 1 can and 2 Krakens, and I'd done it, and I was just like, it was amazing, right? But then this morning, I use like a tracking device, and it pings. It gives us a different tone when I'm on the right track and when I'm not. And this morning, I feel on fire. I feel amazing. I've got no hangover. I only had a couple of drinks. I got up. I've had my cold shower. I've done everything I'd normally do. I jump in my meditation, and now suddenly my phone's like, dong. And it's sending us the thing saying that I'm totally out of whack. And I'm like, oh, who's this phone talking to me? I feel fine. What's it on about? And then it goes ding, and I'm getting medium, and I'm getting there, and I'm like, yes. And then it goes dong again. I was like, bloody hell. But I was aware that I was going good to a bit shitter, good to a bit shitter. And when I was focusing on how the shit part, I was holding on to it. And it drove us insane this morning a little bit. I was just like, I know where I want to go, but I was kind of attached to the shitter part of the meditation of where I wanted to be. But that's awareness. it gets everyone. Like, you do have to have those times where you just try and switch out and just let things happen, don't you? You can't, there's no way you can just try and stay away the entire day, or you'll drive yourself absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, well, it's the first stage of change, isn't it? Like, you have to be aware of what's happening, and I think when you're ready to address it, like, you will. Like, when things become so painful, you'll be forced to change rather than decide. That's what most people do anyway. Like, I know I did. I waited until things were so bad, and now I think a lot of my drive comes from not wanting to go back there. I'd love it to be more about pleasure, but I think, I do all the stuff, the daily routines, because I don't want to go back there. Yeah. So it's still fear and pain that's driving me now, more than the idea of driving a fucking Range Rover. Do you know what I mean? I don't really care about that. That won't get me out of bed. But like, the thought of being depressed again to the point I was, like, that still scares me now.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I've said it to a lot of people about that. I'm like, I feel great, but there's no way on earth that I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing now, just in case, on the off chance, I fall back into who I used to be and I start experiencing those emotions that I used to experience. Even if I never say like, oh, I'm never going to feel that way again. I'm never going to say that. Do you know what I mean? But if I did, at least I would know that I've done everything I possibly can to try and prevent this and prevent me from feeling that way again. And that's the same as you. I'm just like, all of my routines I do is to prevent that. But at the same time, I'm kind of being pulled on by my desires of what I want to create in life.
Yeah. And I was asking myself, by trying to prevent it, are you by doing all this self-development, self-help, am I just clinging on to it? Would I be better off saying, I don't need the self-help now, I don't need the self-development, I'm just going to roll out and see what happens to Alex? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying there's an answer to this, but I'm like, by writing about depression, by reading about it, by reading about change, or, am I hanging on to things? Like, would I be a better man if I just took all that away and just behaved how I want to behave? I don't know. And the evidence suggests that I'd probably end up back where I was, probably, but I don't know. I don't know whether all this is worth it. I can't say it is, and it kills me because, like, obviously I'm teaching this, so like,
and it takes a lot of time, doesn't it? It takes up a lot of your time.
It's a lifestyle. I think you're either into it or you're not. You can't fuck about with this stuff. You either live life like this or you don't. Like, it's as simple as that. So I dedicate myself to trying to be a better man.
Yeah.
If it's working, fuck knows. Like, I feel like it is, but I might have got here without it. I don't know. And that's why it's hard to talk about.
I think about this as well, and you're totally true. Totally true. But we're just not going to stop because
we're not going to stop because it feels like the right thing.
Yeah.
It feels like the right thing.
Yeah.
I can't say to you guys, this has worked and this has worked. I did this and it changed my life. I don't fucking know, but it feels like the right thing to do, and the results and how nice I am to people compared to what I used to be is showing me, I think, that it's working.
Yeah. I think that's the same thing with when it comes to like business. I've had business coaches and people trying to help us with business and stuff, and I've come to the this is my opinion, obviously. I've come to the insight and the opinion that it doesn't matter. Like, you can't just get a millionaire and a millionaire say, oh, do this, do that, do this, and you'll get to where I am. Because there's so many things that they thought didn't work, but actually contributed to them getting to where they want to be. Yeah. So right now I've kind of like, in just this year, I've stripped everything back, and I'm like, no, you do that, and you're a millionaire and you do that. But that doesn't mean if I do the exact same thing as you, I'm going to be a millionaire too. I'm going to hit every single rung myself. I'm going to jump back off this ladder and I'm going to hit every single rung myself. I'm going to learn and I'm going to fail as many times as I can. I know you told me not to do this, but I'm going to do it to find out for myself so that I can move forward. Otherwise, it's just another thing I'm questioning. And in 2020, you're moving forward. I'm just learning. Like, it's funny, right? Because I said this to you, Phil. The stuff that I'm like, and I'm these aha moments and these insight moments that's blowing my mind, and I'm like, yes, oh look, if I do this happens. They're all stuff I've already been told to fucking do. Lee, look at your insights on Facebook. Yeah, I will. Yeah, whatever. when I chose to do it, when it's the right time for me and I've failed enough and now I've stumbled across it and now I'm looking at my insights on Facebook. Now I'm like, when you look at these insights on Facebook, it really helps. I've been told 500 times, you've got to go on your own journey. You've got to hit those things and you've got to do those things that didn't work for people in order for things to work. You've got to, it's like that thing, isn't it? You've got to fit the whoever's most successful is feel the most. So a bit like that, do you know what I mean? You can't skip any rungs. You can't do it that way.
I think also it kind of goes back to what you were saying, about it feels right. All the stuff you do now just feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't, and this sounds a bit woo-woo, but listen to how they're feeling, you know, and they think they should do something and they try and do what they think is right, but actually it doesn't really feel right, you know? And then it's not going to work. If you're not feeling it, then it ain't going to happen.
No, again, there's more resistance there because, you know, I'm reading one book now that's saying, like, no matter how you feel, like, if you want to be a writer, you fucking write. Every day you sit down. It's the Stephen Pressfield book, the one.
Yeah.
You mentioned resistance, which I just knew.
And it's saying, like, the resistance will be there no matter how tired you are, no matter how tough things are, you sit and you fucking write. Like, no BS, no excuses. Then my other friend, Kit Dewal, who's published by Penguin, she was like, Alex, step back from the fucking writer, take a couple of days out. So, like, there's two successful authors there telling you completely different things. And I think you have to find your own way. But something that self-help books did offer me, even though I took no advice from them, was hope. And I think when you're at a low place, hope can save your life. Yeah. So just the idea, just being able to plant something in my head that, I could get better. Like, that was enough at the time. I knew I weren't going to, and I know I was going to implement fuck all. But just having that as like a bit of a blanket, a bit of like a hug, these books were so useful at that point, and they did offer me some hope. And regardless of whether I acted or was irrelevant back then, they just kept me going. They were my Bible, they were my God, they were my faith, and I'm so glad that I had them, definitely.
Nice. Tell us about your book then, mate. So you've been mentioning it. Yeah. What's it about?
I've mentioned it a lot because it's my life right now. Obviously, I'm on lockdown. I'm getting more and more hours. But I've been writing for 2 years and I've just completed chapter 1, believe it or not. So, but the reason why is because this conversation that we've had, you can imagine if you had this on your own in your head, it would go off into several fucking different places.
Oh man, yeah.
So I started when I started writing it. Obviously, I got all my shit onto paper, and I made quite a lot of good changes in my life. So I thought I could write a self-help book and tell other guys how they could move from being depressed to happy. So I wrote this whole book, like I did the whole thing, like 40,000 words, and I read it back, and it was fucking horrendous. And I sent it to a friend, and she was like, the friend who's the author, she was like, "Who the fuck has written this?" I was like, "I did it." She was like, "It's not you. It's not your voice. It doesn't sound like you." Yeah, I know. Like at the time, I was like, you know, I've spent months working on this. Yeah. But what I was doing was I was writing a book that I thought people wanted to read. So it was giving advice. It was telling dudes how to achieve goals. And here was me, like a guy that had a hit and miss record with goals, still didn't really like himself, was trying to be like the guy who I was writing about in this book.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to write the fucking truth. Like, I'm just going to write the truth. And it's not a self-help book, so I don't know if there's any value in it yet. But it's about the struggles. It's about the questions that we're talking about now. It's about whether self-help has helped me or whether it's hindered me. It's about how before men set goals, they need to go inwards and start like actually looking at why they're not achieving them. Like, why are you consistently not doing what you said you would? Why are you consistently making the same mistakes? All of this stuff that's like buried deep in me is now starting to spew out on the page. And it's more like the battle that's gone on is coming out and the struggle rather than the whole, you can turn your life around. Because I don't know how to turn my life around. I don't know how to turn anyone's life around. I don't feel like I've made it. I don't feel like a successful man. I just feel like I'm moving. And I thought I'd write about that journey and write about that struggle and leave it open to people's interpretations rather than say, dude, you need to fucking do this. Because I don't fucking know.
I think that's wicked, mate. Yeah. You know what we were saying earlier about relating to people? You know, if you just write, do this, do this, do this, there's nothing to relate to. But if you tell your story, you know what I mean? Then people are going to be like, fuck, shit, this is like me. Or,
I was trying to be a good writer, Phil. I was trying to be a good writer. So I was using words that I wouldn't use. I was trying to, you know, sound articulate and smart and clever. And it read all right, but it weren't me. It's not like I'm speaking to you chaps now. But this is how I talk, you know. And I've started to try and write like that, and make it a little bit more polished. But you know, the message is there, and the message is that like it requires continuous fucking work. Now I'm worried because I don't think anyone's going to want to read it when they know that you.
I already want to read it.
Mate, you got 2 readers here. Hang on a minute. You have to do the audio book.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say.
He can't read.
It's going to be an audio book.
Oh, mate, I don't know about that, but I might get someone to do it. But you see what I'm saying?
It's got to be your voice, because then it's not you.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. But it's weird writing a book where you're thinking, well, there's no real answers in there. I'm sharing my experiences, but there's no real like this book will change, and it's a bit different, and it might relate and it might not. But all I know is that if I make it real, then it is what it is, and I can be happy with it.
If it's real, it'll definitely relate to other people, and I think a lot of the time it's not the answers you need. It's the relating to somebody's story, so you can. I really believe we need to figure out our own shit. Yeah. We need to figure out what we need to do ourselves. We need to do everything. Like what you said, you've got to go in and it's down to you. You can have 100 coaches. You can have the best mentors in the world, but it ultimately boils down to you figuring out, you making those realizations, you taking these insights, you doing the work. It always boils back down to you doing it. And if you're writing a truthful journey of what you've been through, people can read that. In the parts that they do relate to, they can be like, and what that'll do is it'll trigger like insights and revelations in people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that's where power like comes from when it comes to coaching, like allowing people to make their own revelations, allowing people to figure out their own shit. That's where the most powerful action comes from.
Yeah, it's just a little inconsistent because, again, Jeff taught me this very well. Jeff Thompson, one of my first mentors, he was very much into like looking at who you really are, because he talked about different identities, and I could relate straight away. So like, I could be depressed, I could be happy, I could be moody, I could be energized, I could be tired. Like now, depending on where you are when you write the book is dependent on what will come out on the page. Yeah. But if I'm the depressed dude that's thinking like this self-help shit don't work, I'm going to start speaking like that and saying, well, you know, Paul Mort didn't really help me because I had to go and fucking do it. If I'm writing from a place of gratitude, I'm like, Paul Mort saved my life. Yeah. Like, and that's how different you can be from day to day. So you end up writing this book and you're like, fucking hell, Alex, 1 minute you're telling these guys they have to do self-work. You know, self-development. The next day you're saying, dude, maybe it's not helping you. And you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. So like, there's that battle with myself every day, and I kind of like it. This is what I mean about it's teaching me, because it's taking everything from in here and putting it out there, and I'm starting to battle and see the battles. I can see them on the fucking page. I can see the different man writing all these things. I'm like, it's just fucking nuts. But it's brilliant at the same time.
Sometimes, I said this in my PT group, sometimes the information that you hear isn't for you. Do you know what I mean? So like when you're having those days of, yeah, Paul Mort saved my life, that's for the person who takes that and receives that. It's for them. The people who don't, it's not for them. It's a bit like I done a video the other day saying like everyone's out running now. Like people 20 odd stone running along the road, nearly crying in pain, like killing themselves running, all because they heard you've got 30 minutes, go out and run. It's the best way to lose weight. Sometimes that information isn't fucking for you. It's not for you. Go run isn't for a 30 stone man who's never ran in his life. That information, go run to lose weight, isn't for him. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it can be demoralizing as a coach when you're constantly, obviously you're putting out content that's trying to be helpful, yet you see people consistently doing what they're going to do, and they always will. Yeah. And again, I took a lot of pressure off myself when I stopped trying to recruit people to work with me. Now I just put shit out, and I think if people want it, they will get in touch with me. I've totally gone off this whole sales approach of doing landing pages, and I've totally just got away from that shit now. Yeah, and I'm just going to start saying what I want to say and doing what I want to do, and I think you'll attract those people on that same kind of wavelength. And I'm trying to be honest in my content. I'm still not honest in my content because I just haven't got it in me yet to go really raw.
It's quite hard that though, isn't it, to be brutally 100% honest with everything you say.
Yeah, there's a fine line because you can come across like a complete dick.
Yeah.
Like if you like, and what gives me the right to just spew out what I want to say to someone who hasn't asked for it. Like, and I get social media, they have to tune into me, like, so that it's not optional. But again, you know, you're going to attract some heat as well. If you say what you really think, you're probably gonna, attract a few people that like it, but the majority probably won't. When you're talking about depression and stuff, especially, like if you're depressed, you do not want to hear someone like us saying that they have a choice. Fucking hell, that hurts.
Definitely, yeah.
To tell someone who's like maybe lost their kid and who's been in depression for years that they're having a choice to feel like that, I'm not sure I'm ready to go there as a coach yet. I don't think it's within my job title. I like working with those dudes who would just literally have no fucking self-belief and moping around and complaining about their life. I like those dudes who are sitting on the couch watching TV. That's who I like to work with. I love getting those guys because I feel like I could be a bit more raw and honest with them and give them a kick up the fucking ass, because I think sometimes you need that. I wish somebody had done that to me when I was not feeling great, because I got too much sympathy and it backfired. And I was told that it was okay. And I was told that it would get better, and it never did. It never fucking did until I went out and really got aggressive on it and did something to change it. So like, it's a tough game to be in. It's not an easy thing that we've picked to do, but it's our calling, I think. Like, you only do this kind of shit if you love it.
And when when you help people, you know, when you see the changes that someone makes after something maybe you've helped them implement, that's the most rewarding thing in the world, right? I know people know what we do, say, oh, I do it because I like helping people. But genuinely, obviously we do it because we need to earn money, right? We need a job, we need a business. But when you actually help someone and you make even a tiny bit of difference to their life, you can't really describe that, can you? You know what I mean?
No, it's great. But there's always sticking points with clients. So like, especially on the coaching aspect, like, sometimes from a coach, you can see that like the partner that they're with is the biggest obstacle. Like, until they remove that obstacle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So you've got to this point with a client where you've built up their self-esteem and they're doing well, but they're always on hold now because something big like their job or their partner in their life it's not working, and they either need to change that or leave or do something big. And as a coach, that's where I've always got to. And then for me, it comes down to courage. And I know, because I've been taken to that point by mentors several times and then backed off because I wasn't ready to do it. So I always feel like my input it's important and it's valid, but it's a very small percentage of what really, like, we know this because we've been coached and mentored. We know when it comes to the big gutsy decisions, you've got to have a big set of balls and you've got to fucking do it. And your coach, your mentor ain't going to hold your hand.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100% agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, mate. It's a hard fucking game. Hard game. And I want to be a coach that says this out loud and vocalizes it and says, I might not be able to help you. I might not be able to because of this, and this. Like, I want to be that truthful coach that might lose business. I'm not promising anyone anything. I'm just sharing my view on it. And if it helps people, and you know, if courage is the thing you really need to work on, then that's what you go off and do.
Yeah, I love that. It's good.
But it's hard. But I only know this because I know it now in my own life. Like, to have the courage to say that I'm an author took me. Like, I call myself an author and I'm not. Like, but I've just started calling myself one because now I'm not embarrassed about saying that I write. I just was at first. Like, because people would always go, "What are you writing about?" And I'd just be like, just life. Do you know what I mean? But just that courage to do little things like that. And we've all been in relationships that suck and you know you need to get out of, but you don't because it's harder to leave than it is to stay. We've all been there.
Do you think it's easier now for you to call yourself an author now because back then you were writing and you said that your friend looked at the book and they were like, who the fuck's this? But now you were actually writing from the heart, and you're writing you.
Yeah.
Is that now why you believe and feel it's acceptable to now say you're an author, or is it?
No, because there's still a lot of, like, you know, people say you shouldn't have self-doubt, and if you're going to do something in life, you need to 100% believe it. Like, I don't believe that I'm going to be a great author.
Yeah.
I'm just literally trying to make the most of visualization.
Yeah.
Nothing more. I'm trying to say that I'm an author so that I become one. Obviously, I'm doing the work as well, but I'm just trying to future pace it and say, yeah, I'm an author. But again, this only stems from the fact that I've read books that have told me to fucking do this. Like, you want to be an author, call yourself.
John Jones, where he said, he was signing his name, saying he's going to be world champion by whatever date. And
the successful people do it. But Joe, I'll call myself an author because I am. Like, regardless of whether I release a book or not, I write every day for 2 to 6 hours. So, like, whether it's for your benefit or mine, or nobody sees it, or a million people see it, I'm still an author. I still write. I still create. And one big thing, like, I don't give a fuck as much anymore about other people. I really don't give a fuck as much. And that has been one of the best things that has changed my life the most, not giving a shit as much. I still get triggered and I still get pissed off. In fact, I got pissed off when someone put a nasty comment on Phil's. I still get it. I still feel it. And I'm glad it was Phil and not me, because I don't want to deal with that shit. But this is another reason why I haven't been my honest truth and said what I want, because I don't want that hassle. Like, I put out content, but I don't really put out the content that I know is going to attract any heat. Because I don't want to be dealing with that. Part of me is like, well, I've got to protect my energy and I want to write, not deal with dickheads. So part of me is like, well, should you even bother putting out content? If it's not going to be raw, real and honest, do you want this social media life? And then the other part saying, well, you need people to know who you are and where you are, and you need to get your message across. So again, here's another battle that I'm talking about. Like, it's continuous. Like, it's not a day goes by I don't debate whether I should be on social media. Not a fucking day. And I might do a great video and someone said, oh, thanks, Alex, that's made my day. That's really helped. And I'm like, this is why I need to do it. The next day, I'm like, what a fucking waste of time. An hour and a half. Social media.
I think you're like us as well. Like, I'd speak for me.
Well, we have these talks a lot, mate.
And to grab this and just throw it in the bin and never even have a phone. Have nothing.
Some days you feel like a prat. You're like recording. You're like, who do I think I am? Like, who do I think I am to be giving out fucking advice? Like, my days, I feel like shit there. Who am I to be telling someone how to get a fucking grip of their mental health when you're just as fucked up as everyone else? These are the things that go on in my head. Some days I'm like, yeah, fucking, I'm a coach, man. I'm a coach. This is great. It's just inconsistent. But again, these are just these different identities coming up that Jeff talks about. This is why, for me, just speaking exactly what's on your mind can't be wrong, because even if it changes over time, you can look back and say, well, I was just saying what I felt at the time. Whereas if I looked back a year now, I'd probably cringe like fuck and go, Alex, you only said that because you'd seen someone else's video or you thought someone wanted to hear it. That weren't you. That was something you've read. Do you know what I mean? So it's constant daily. This is why the morning routine is so key for me. It's constant daily reminders and check-ins. Like, not to be great and not to be a success and not to chase my goals. It's to be myself and to keep putting it out. So every video now I'm like, is this me? Am I saying what I feel? And then I can handle a bit of a backlash, because I'm like, do you know what, dude, fuck you. This is what I want to say. It's my page. I'll say what I want. And when I'm in that mentality, I'm good. But there are days where I don't want it, and there's days where I want to hide, and there's days where I want to delete my accounts and never speak to anyone via social media again.
Yeah. I think part of that is why we made this podcast as well, isn't it, Phil? Because when you're doing these videos and you're telling people what to do and that, like, I've always said, right, and this might sound vain or whatever it may be, but Phil, you said it as well. I would love to have, like, wait, would I love to have it? I don't know. I think it would be good to have a reality show of my life in my house, right? Because the stuff that goes on, the stuff that comes out of my mouth, sometimes, even when I'm coaching, I'm just like, bah, bah, bah. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish that was on record. And then just the stupid stuff, I'm like messing with all that, I'm messing with the dogs, I'm getting pissed off. All of those things, I think that would be amazing. I'd love to watch that. Even though I'm talking
that
about
would be so much easier to have a camera follow you around and just do your thing than it would be to stage a video. Because you have to stage a video. So there's always an element of, like, you know, you have to not act, but you know what I mean. You have to
put on a little bit of like a half a mask sort of thing.
Yeah, it is like that. It needs to be a bit entertaining. Like, people love, like, news is just entertainment now. It's not news, it's fucking entertainment. And people love entertainment. So, like, we have to almost create that, but still keep the message authentic and real and make it interesting. So it's a skill.
Yeah. That's what we wanted this podcast, so that we could, because you can't just record. You couldn't get this just on a video. Like what we're doing now, having this real discussion, talking honestly and openly about things. Like you you would take a million outtakes to try and make this a video like how you'd think that social media wants it to be. So we were talking about saying, well, we need to get a podcast where we just be who the fuck we are, say what we want to say, and just talk. And I said, and not talk to people who are listening, because we're not talking to the, like, we love the listeners, but we're not talking to them.
We were on a podcast before, and off camera, we had this amazing conversation.
Yeah.
And then we hit record, and it was fucking boring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like if I
speaking in like a different voice, a different tone, knowing that
yeah. Why'd you do it? It's like if I play tennis, I had another knockabout playing tennis. I'm like fucking Andre Agassi. I don't know why I chose him. Right, let's play a real game then. I start doing that panhandle serve. You know what I mean? And like you turn shit, don't you? It's the same thing. You kind of become something else, which is bizarre. But before we go, because I know we're keeping you, mate. But we tell us a little bit about the event you held, because that was a bit of a banger, wasn't it?
Yeah, different. So 200 people. This was again me wanting to put on an event called No.
This is the first one you've done, right? You've never done this. You was fresh,
No, so I wanted to do it because I like get this thing that we're talking about, whatever it is. I like to take this to more people, to the masses, kind of thing. So I asked Paul if he'd be up for speaking on stage, and I got a guy called Simon Thomas, Sky Sports ex-BP.
Hollyoaks guy, right?
Yeah, he was good. And I wanted to just do something that was more real than what I was seeing out there, because I was seeing a lot of like, it's good to talk messages, which I'm not denying. But firstly, it depends who you talk to. And secondly, talking won't change anything. So I wanted to take that a step further and go, your life isn't going to change like by talking about it. And I wanted to just hammer that message home. So yeah, I did this event, gave the money to Calm. And it was my first speaking gig in front of a crowd like that. So partly selfish as well, because I wanted to do it. I was pretty nervous, but I'm glad I did it. I got such fire from it. And it's kind of like almost introduced me to what life could be like, I guess. Like being on stage speaking, it's exciting. Like I don't know if you guys have done it before, but it's a buzz that it's like taking drugs, man. It just
I've done it a bit. It's something that I've said this year I want to do more of. I've only done small little things, like little seminars and that, but it's fucking awesome, isn't it?
Again, it is brilliant when you're on it. Again, it's more a mental battle, because I was up there with Paul, who I see Paul as a bit of a superior. Same as Simon Thomas, he does this for a living, live in front of millions, and I'm like, there's little old me, and I'm like, all the typical battles, like, am I worthy to be on this stage? What the fuck have I got to say?
Yeah,
who's going to want to listen? I'm just the intro act, so like people will just want to get me out of the way and then listen to the big stars. And some of this might be true, by the way, like, but it was great for me to just practice and get on stage and smash down another barrier, because that's all it was. It was another barrier. I organised it, I ran it, I raised a lot of money for charity, and I spoke at this gig, and I was delighted. Yeah, and I just want to continue. Obviously, like this year's going to be a bit different now. We've planned another one, but I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, it was a nice little intro, and I'm trying to make my speaking and my writing my new thing that I do, because although I love PT, like I've been doing that for 14 years, I don't want to die or be one of these 60-year-old PTs that's like walking around with a crippled hip and trying to demo a few press-ups when he's 60, and you just need to come in. So that's kind of where I want to go. So yeah, that was a good event. So I enjoyed that, and we did some good.
Good man, love it. Love it.
You also done a retreat though, didn't you? Did you do like a retreat?
Well, no, I mean it was that was supposed to happen the week before lockdown kicked in. So again, the theory behind that was we're going to take a bunch of dudes, we're going to try it. Well, we are going to kind of remove Wi-Fi, remove their phone, to get them to focus on themselves, health, energy, sleep, and rather than the whole like physical stuff, we're going to take that away and just work on the whole mental aspect. Because I don't know about you, Chats, but I love the physical game. Like for me, it's a great place to hide, because I'm good at it and I know I can push myself physically.
I 100% relate to that.
Yeah, so the physical battles, it's hard and it sounds impressive, and there's pictures of me climbing mountains in fucking January with snow on the top, doing SAS routes, backpacks, and yeah, it's hard, but it's also, again, Jeff calls this difficult easy. It's like difficult, but it's easy, because you know you can do it. You've done so many physical challenges before. You've got to put the work in and train, and you'll do it. Whereas the internal battle, that's like hard. Like going to work on me, like inside, is 20 times harder than any fucking mountain I've ever climbed. Any fight I've ever had in a boxing ring. like that is where the real battle is. So I'm trying to stay away from these physical challenges at the minute, because again, they just take me away from doing the work, although they have introduced a lot of mental toughness, given me a lot of satisfaction. And again, I think we spoke about this a little bit before off air, about just this change of direction. Like, there will be certain stages in your life where you need to put your energy into more things than others. And right now, my physical game's good. You know, I row, I run, and I lift weights. Like, for me, that's great. I don't need to be motivated to do it. I enjoy it. So right now, I'm like, Alex, if you want to take the next step of your life and be successful in this writing game, you need to fucking work on yourself now. And that is 10 times scarier.
It's a bit like that, the resistance, like what we're talking about, isn't it? Choosing to do those things. And that's what I believe. Like, last year, I'm looking, I've got certificates all up the sides of the walls there. I've got crazy amount of medals just there. But a lot of these things, again, it was just for a goal. It was just to see I've done it. And it was just, it was nothing that I was working on, like these abseils and stuff. Like, I had the help us at a time. It was I got over some fear and things, but that time could have been more well spent working on something I actually want out of my life.
Yeah, but again, you don't know, like, for me, it's part of the game. Like, the physical is like, it's like an entry level. It's one of the first steps. Like, for anyone, by the way, who wants to improve their mental health, I would suggest you start with the body. Like, start with the palate, start with the diet, start there, because there are things that you can control so easily. Yeah. Like, you can't always control what's going on up here, the thoughts, but you can control what you eat. So I like to start there, and then I like to progress that onto physical challenge, because you learn how not to quit when you want to. You learn how to handle fear. You get used to all these things. So I don't regret doing any of them. But like you say, it would be easy now to go, I'm going to go and do another mountain versus I'm going to do the internal work. I think you need to notice when it's become a bit easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also
is to do a bigger challenge physical.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna shape my life anymore. It's not gonna change it. It will give me a thrill, and it will give me a physical challenge. I might have an extra 2% body fat less because of it. But it's not going to change my life. It's not going to change. It's not going to improve my relationships.
Yeah, I used to, we talk about sedating, and I used to sedate myself, not realizing it, with exercise. You know what I mean? Thinking, oh, this is good for me. It's good for me. And I would spend hours training. I'm in pretty decent shape, and all my energy was going into fitness, and therefore I was lacking, in other areas. But
when you train, Phil, it numbs the pain, doesn't it? It takes
massively, 100%.
Stress, the depression that you've got, the worry. So yeah, the temptation is to do more of it in excess. And self-help books are the same. It's like, I'm looking back, I'm like, they just offered me hope. Like, did I go too much into the self-help books as a distraction technique from actually doing the work? And I think there's an element of that, and there's an element of it lately over the last year where I'm like, I'm doing too much learning and not enough doing. And now I'm trying to flip that around and go, Alex, you don't need to learn any fucking more stuff right now.
Yeah.
You just need to do.
It's like back in the day when you were supposed to be revising for your GCSEs or whatever, and your mum's like, done any revising? And you're like, yeah, I bought loads of dividers, I bought loads of highlighters, and you're doing everything around doing the actual thing that's going to get you the result. You know what I mean?
Nothing's changed, Phil. I've got fucking hundreds of notebooks.
Yeah.
And I've got this weird, I'm a bit OCD, so I like to have a new notebook for anything new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I've written something in it, I can't have that for this new project. So I've got fucking hundreds of notebooks.
That's why I've got, mate, you need a remarkable.
So what's that?
Remarkable tablet.
Ah, okay.
It's on here. I've got it's in. Yeah, I've got. Honestly, I do the same on there though. But because it's like on technology and it's so much easier, I'm just like, new notebook, new title, new folder, new title, new notebook. Some of them got like 1 page, 2 pages, and then some got like 100 pages in. But it's on the same. It's just new thing, new topic, need new notebook.
I need to learn that not every thought has to be processed into like a fucking new career. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'll have this thing where I swear it's going to take off. Like, I had a clothing company in my head last week and I forgot all about it. I can't even remember what it's called. But on that day, I was like, if I could do this, this would take off. Like, and I just have to sometimes, if an idea hangs around for a year, you need to act upon it. You can't act upon every thought that comes in your head, otherwise you'd be here, there, and everywhere. Whereas, like,
you're gonna sit with it and try it on.
Yeah.
Try it on in your head first.
Yeah.
Allow it to be there for a bit. And it's the same with before I got my tattoos. If I didn't like the tattoo 3 months later, I wouldn't get it. So I kind of wait a bit. But that's what it is. Like Sai tells us, you got to try it on.
Yeah.
Have it on for a little bit, like trying a hat on.
Yeah.
Have a look around, see what it feels like. Give it a couple of weeks and see if it fits. If it fits, then run with it. If it doesn't, then fuck it off. He says, but most hats will not fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we go, mate, last question. If
Yeah.
you were to go back in time, right?
Yeah.
And give the younger you a bit of advice, what would it be?
Do you know what? And again, this is completely contradictory to what a lot of mental health would encourage. But I would encourage that young man to fucking toughen up a little bit. Seriously, to step up and face what he needed to face. And I'm not talking about man up like a macho thing. I would have encouraged him to find the courage within himself to face what needed facing. Because that, as painful as that would have been, it would have took me out of the pain quicker than staying in it for 5 fucking years. And I wouldn't wish that feeling upon anyone. So I would have encouraged that dude, to get more courage, to face the fucking shit, hold his hands up and admit his wrongs. Don't try and hide them. Don't try and be perfect. Don't try and be a good man. Just be what you are at that point, face it, and then fucking go from there.
Is that where you would say you'd get the courage from? Just action in doing it and facing it? Or would you say there's something that you'd advise that person to do to get more courage?
I stripped it right back to basics. I think you've used the words basic. I actually eliminated all my goals at that point because I wasn't achieving them. I wasn't getting closer to them. I wasn't taking action upon them. And I thought the key to getting out of that habit was setting bigger goals because they weren't turning me on. It didn't matter. You could have given me the precise path to be a millionaire over that year. I wouldn't have been able to execute it because I felt like a piece of shit. So I went right back to the bait. I removed my goals and took the pressure off myself. And I said, what can I do to be a better man? What was hurting me wasn't my failure of goals. It was it was not being able to look in the mirror and say that I was a decent man. That's what was killing me. So I had to go back to that point. So I started with sticking to my word, like starting to eat better, I know it's basic stuff, but I just wanted to do something that was in my control that made me feel better, make me feel like I was trying, that I didn't keep giving up on. I just wanted that feeling back that I wasn't out of control. I wasn't worthless. I just wanted to rebuild this Alex that used to be alive before all this stuff happened. So I went to work on that. I forgot everything else. And I went a little bit more inside. Again, it sounds a bit fucking woohooey, but I did. I went inside and started working on myself. And that took years. It weren't easy. It weren't hard. It wasn't easy. It was very hard. It took years. And I'm still practicing the same processes now as I did then. It's just I'm noticing this new skin appear every day, this tougher skin, this one that allows me to live a better life, allows me to achieve bigger goals, allows me to drop goals because I haven't got so much of an ego anymore. And I'm not as embarrassed now if something doesn't work out. I won't be embarrassed if this book doesn't work out. And that is a nice feeling to be in control. And that was completely lacking. So I think that's gone around your question a little bit. And I'd love to say this was the turning point. And I'll probably get off the call and go, fuck.
Yeah.
But it really was just about me restoring some fucking self-esteem again and some dignity. Because when a man loses his dignity, he's in big trouble.
Yeah,
man. I love that. Wicked. Mate, where can people find out more about you?
Social media, of course. So
Yeah.
it's embarrassing. Whether you can put this in the title, I don't even know my Instagram handle. I think it's Alex Meyer 01. Manspan on Facebook. Search me out on there. You'll see me spitting some videos out and putting out some random memes and shit like that.
Yeah,
so.
man. I see you've started watching Afterlife as well, the second series.
I've not started. I finished it.
Oh, mate, I started last night. Banging.
I don't know how you
finished it. It only just come out, hasn't it?
Yeah, it came out Friday. Mate, I love it so much. I had my diary around it. I started work at 5 a.m. Friday, finished at 3 p.m. And then I said I'm going to have the afternoon off and watch Afterlife. So it's 3 hours long. I loved it. And another little tip for me there, like, because it was planned in my diary, I had no guilt around sitting there with my feet up watching it.
Yeah.
But man, I cried in every episode. I laughed. And I don't know what it is about Afterlife, but it gets me in here. Like,
mate, same here. That first series, I watched that. I think I cried in that one, actually. Absolute banger. I'm so pleased the new one's come out. Wicked.
It's amazing. If you like the first one, it's exactly the same. But I could relate to that. It was weird. I've got my dog. It's me and my dog.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And, the loss of his wife just kind of almost was a bit like the loss of my relationship, because I had this nice little family on the go, and that didn't work out. And I don't know whether it's that it kind of like puts you in that position, but I can really relate to it. I think how he makes you laugh and cry, I don't know.
Oh, genius, isn't he?
But he's brilliant.
Genius.
And it's a great show. So anyone that's watching needs to watch it. I think it's great.
I'm gonna have to check. I don't even know what this is, but I'll have to check it out.
Go back to go watch episode 1, series 1.
I tell you what's been making me cry, but it very similar to what you just said. Like, we're not laugh, but made us be very happy but cry. Is the Kindness Diaries? Have you seen that on Netflix?
Never heard of it either.
There's this man. I don't know his background. I've started season 2 because I couldn't find season 1. But he's traveling from Alaska to Argentina on kindness alone. So he's asking people to give him his free fuel, asking people to put him up, random people on the street asking him, can I stay at your house? And he's getting all of this stuff all from kindness alone. But what they don't know is he must be loaded or something, but he gives back to people who touch him in his heart the most. And he gives them back some lethal stuff, like, and he's seeing some amazing people along the way. And I'm just a mess. I'm just like,
I'm just
crying my eyes out.
a bit worried because I watched Is it The Extractionist or something last night? The new film on Netflix, and I fucking ended up crying at that. I'm like,
Jesus, tough. He bangs on about his all tough love and all that, but really,
well, no, yeah, mate. I'm
full of shit, mate.
Thanks for having me on. I was honoured to be asked, so thank you.
Yeah,
honoured to have you here, mate. This has been a real good chat. This has been a good one. Yeah.
So
that's it.
Wrap it up. The episode, if you haven't checked out the episode before this one, it's with the guest, Mr. Ben Fanning, where he's spitting some real truth as well, and telling you a lot about his story, talking about drink, drugs, and how he turned his life around. So that's the episode before this. So go check that out after you've listened to this, and make sure you share this episode with all of your friends. And if you've got any questions or you want to get in touch with anybody, you can leave a voice note on the Anchor podcast. That's it. That's it. From me.
From me.
Next time.
From me.
And from him. Look at that. That's like a well-oiled little exit, wasn't it? Never done that before. Peace.